Chapter 3 Skateboard. My next wish, thought Jimmy, is to make Robert move to a deserted island. No, Jimmy, that is too mean even for someone like Robert. Plus, Jimmy thought about his mom watching over him, and if she was, she wouldn't be happy if he wished for bad things to happen to people. But what could he wish for? Then Jimmy thought about school starting on Monday and how some of the popular kids rode their skateboards to school. If I had a skateboard, thought Jimmy, I would look too cool too. Plus, my dad wouldn't even have to pick me up after school. Jimmy loved his dad, but he was embarrassed to have his dad hang out at school, even if it was just to pick him up. But then, no kid really wanted their parents to step foot on campus. But back when Jimmy's mom was around, there was one day she had to work an extra shift at the hospital, so she sent Jimmy's dad to pick him up after school. When Jimmy got out of school, he saw his dad waiting for him in the parking lot of his truck. His dad got out of his truck and started walking over to Jimmy. Jimmy was horrified. "What are you doing?" he mouthed to his dad while frantically looking around to see if anyone had noticed. "Get back in the truck," he pointed to the truck repeatedly. "What?" yelled Jimmy's dad. "What do you want me to do?" Bill thought it was funny and teased Jimmy a bit, but Jimmy didn't think it was funny. And he was furious that his dad had actually got out of the truck when he came to pick him up. "Dad," Jimmy said as he approached the truck, "you never get out of the truck. You just sit inside and wait for me to come to you. What's the big deal anyway?" he inquired. "The big deal is that none of the kids have their parents get out of the car and come get them. And I'm not a little kid anymore. Just don't do that, Dad, ever, okay?" Bill then realized that to Jimmy this was no laughing matter. "Okay, buddy," he said, "I won't get out of the truck ever again." When they got home that day, Jimmy had rushed into the house. He had thrown his backpack on the floor in the entryway, and his mom realized that he was upset, but she did not know why. "What's up, sweetheart?" she asked. Jimmy tossed up his arms in disgust and said, "Dad got out of the truck." "Oh no," Holly said in a sincere voice. "Oh, Jimmy, I'm sorry. I didn't tell him about that. I'm so sorry." Just then, Bill walked in and Holly saw a sorrowful look on his face. "You got out of the truck?" Holly asked, crinkling up her nose. "Yes," Bill sighed. "I got out of the truck. How was I supposed to know?" He tossed the keys onto the kitchen counter. "I'm so sorry, Bill. I should have told you. None of the parents want their kids to get out of the car, so they say," she said, rolling her eyes and not knowing it was such a silly thing, but it meant a lot to Jimmy and his friends too, according to their mothers. It was silent for a second, and then something struck Holly as being funny, and she started laughing. Jimmy's mom had the kind of laugh that could brighten up the room. When she started laughing, both Jimmy and Bill started laughing too. "Yep, a skateboard would be a great thing to have," thought Jimmy. "How could I get a skateboard with just 4 days left of summer? The wish, he thought, and my jacket." Jimmy looked down and put his right hand on his chest. He realized he had his jacket on. Just then his dad pulled up in front of their apartment. "Well, buddy, you ready for some lunch?" Jimmy hadn't even thought about eating. After all, he had so much on his mind between making the team and starting school. But now that they were home, Jimmy realized he was actually very hungry. "I'm starving," said Jimmy as he jumped out of the truck. "Great. I have some roast beef, and Mary gave me some lemons from her tree. How about I make some sandwiches and delicious lemonade?" Jimmy absolutely loved lemonade, and so he said, "Yes," while licking his lips. While Jimmy's dad made their lunches, Jimmy ran into the bathroom to wash his hands. He closed the door and locked it. "Okay, this will be my third wish since I got this jacket," he thought. "Magical jacket, huh?" he said out loud as he remembered what Angie had said about his jacket earlier that day. "Okay, let's see how magical you are." And with that, Jimmy closed his eyes and said, "I wish I had a brand new skateboard. I wish I had a brand new skateboard. I wish I had a brand new skateboard." And he opened his eyes. He looked around and kind of giggled to himself. "This is crazy," he thought, feeling a bit foolish. "There's no way this jacket has magic in it." And Jimmy's dad was just mixing the sugar into the lemonade when Jimmy walked in. "Hey, Sporto, can you grab us some glasses and ice?" "Sure," said Jimmy. "How was work today?" "Oh, it was all right. Mary hung pictures of me all up over the break room from today's newspaper. I tried to get her to take them down, but she wouldn't do it. She said, 'Bill, I don't have any kids of my own. You are like my son, and I'm the proud mama. Let me just live vicariously through you for a couple of days. What's it going to hurt?'" "Oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. Did you get the paper today?" Jimmy asked, so excited to see his dad's photo in the paper. "Yes, I did, but I left it in my truck. It's under the blue blanket in the back seat. Why don't you go get it for me?" Bill asked, tossing Jimmy the keys. As Jimmy ran up to the truck, he noticed the blue blanket draped across the front seat of the truck. "Wait a minute," said Jimmy. "I didn't see that blanket there when we were coming back from Jennifer's house." "Oh well," Jimmy thought, and he opened the door and moved the blanket. Jimmy couldn't believe what he saw. There under the blanket with the newspaper was a brand new skateboard. "What the heck?" Jimmy said, still not believing what he's seen. He grabbed the newspaper and then slowly looked back at the apartment. His dad was standing in the doorway with a huge smile on his face. "Who does that belong to?" Jimmy pointed to the skateboard. "It's yours," said his dad as he walked over to the truck. "Mine?" questioned Jimmy. "How is that mine? It's not my birthday or anything." Jimmy wasn't getting used to things just to get them. After all, money had been tight since his mom passed away, and it was just a couple of days ago Jimmy was at Millie's with his dad buying out-of-season clothes. "Surely we can't afford this," Jimmy thought. "I know it's not your birthday," Bill said, messing up Jimmy's hair. "Well, we can't afford this, Dad. I mean, the reward money that you got was just to help with gas and food, right? We can't afford this for me, can we?" Jimmy asked, feeling both excited and that he was receiving a brand new skateboard and guilty because he knew now that his dad might not have money for gas and food. "Hey, don't worry about it. Todd from work gave it to me. Apparently his son Bar Mitzvah and their entire family came, all 55 of them. I guess the kid got some duplicate gifts. Anyway, Todd spotted the extra skateboard and thought it would be great for you. Todd said his older son got it one day, and he started middle school, and it was the best thing for him." Wow, said Jimmy, now being able to enjoy that the skateboard was his. Look at this, he pointed to the bottom of the skateboard. It's signed by Tony Hawk. Wow. Bill had no idea who Tony Hawk was, but he could tell it was someone important to skateboarders based on how excited Jimmy was. Looks like this is your lucky day, son. First you make the baseball team, then you get to see Jennifer. Dad, Jimmy said, hoping he wouldn't start asking him if Jennifer was his girlfriend for the 14th time. His dad ignored him and went on talking. Then Angie set you up with some of her famous donut holes, and to top it off, you got a new skateboard. You forgot something else, Dad. What's that? Asked Bill. My dad, the hero, has his picture in the paper, Jimmy said. And with that, he grabbed the paper in his free hand and ran inside their apartment. Shall we eat some lunch now? Bill asked. Oh, that sounds good, Dad. Let's eat, Jimmy. Jimmy carefully set his skateboard beside his dad's recliner in the living room. Jimmy was ready, and Bill poured the lemonade in 2 glasses of ice. Yummy, said Jimmy after he gulped down half the glass of lemonade. He then dove into his roast beef sandwich while searching the newspaper for his father's picture. Hey, cool, said Jimmy, now staring at the picture of his dad on page 5 of the Denver Tribune. There were 5 pictures total, spread over the page, each with a caption on the top that read, "Townsend saves the day." One picture was the police sergeant with Max and Jimmy's dad. The other 4 were taken out while they were outside with the reporters. Jimmy scanned all of the pictures and then got excited. Hey, Jimmy said, standing up. There I am. That's me right next to your arm. Bill came over to see and peeked over Jimmy's shoulder. Oh yeah, there you are, exclaimed Bill. It's a good picture, Jimmy thought. His dad was wearing a nice shirt, standing tall among the reporters, and Jimmy was looking at his dad. The picture captured the admiration that Jimmy had for his father. Jimmy smiled as he looked at the paper. This is so cool, Jimmy said. Did you ever think your picture is going to be in the newspaper? No, never, said Bill, shaking his head. Jimmy folded the paper neatly and placed it under his arm. Mind if I keep this, Dad? He asked, pointing to the newspaper. Sure, go ahead. Mary gave me a stack of them today. Thanks, Jimmy said. He grabbed his skateboard and disappeared down the hallway into his room. He gently closed the door and placed it on the floor. He lifted his mattress and set the newspaper carefully next to the one he had hidden there previously. Cool, he said, laying the mattress back down. Then Jimmy grabbed his skateboard and lay back on his bed. He held the board over his head with both hands, examining every inch of it. He smiled as he thought of how cool it was that it was his. It was brand new, not handed down from a neighbor or purchased at a garage sale like his bike had been. Then it hit him and he jumped off the bed. Oh my gosh, he said, realizing that his last wish had been for a brand new skateboard. What the heck is happening to me? Am I really making wishes that are coming true? Jimmy's head felt like it was spinning around in circles. He was confused about what was happening to him, and he snapped out of it and faced the meal that hung from his closet door. He put his hands on both sides of the meal, looked himself in the eyes and said, Think, Jimmy, think, how did this start? He traced his mind back to how it had all began. First, Millie gave him the jacket, and Jimmy watched Timmy Julie and saw Timmy make a wish that came true, so he decided to make one too. He first wished his dad would have enough money for food and gas, and then his dad captured the robber and got the reward money. Next, he wished to be on the baseball team at school, and then he ran into Cuddle, who encouraged him to try out. Then he made the team. His third wish had been for a brand new skateboard, and there in front of him, on his still messy bed, lay his brand new skateboard. This is getting strange, Jimmy thought, feeling half scared and half excited. On one hand, it was cool that he was making wishes that were coming true, but it was weird because he didn't know how he was doing it. Maybe Angie was right. Maybe the jacket was magical. What if Millie knew it was magic and that's why she gave it to Jimmy? I bet I know just what it is you need, Jimmy remembered Millie saying just before she pulled the jacket out of the bag. His head was hurting now because he didn't know why his wishes were coming true. But sooner or later, he would have to find out what was causing them. Feeling exhausted from so much thinking, Jimmy lay back on his bed. Then he dropped the skateboard upside down with the wheels facing up and turned the wheels with one of his fingertips and said, "Shoo, shoo, shoo." He pictured himself riding the skateboard all over town. Next, he imagined he was going to school wearing the new Letterman's jacket while riding his brand new skateboard. All of the kids were saying hi to him, and it felt so good. The popular kids would walk by and say, "Check it out, Jimmy has a new skateboard." One kid said, "That thing is sick," which meant was really cool. Then Jennifer was there with her friends, and they were looking at him admiringly as he rode with the wind catching his hair just right. Jimmy heard his dad's voice calling him. He looked around the schoolyard but didn't see him anywhere. Then suddenly he opened his eyes and found his dad was there in the room calling him to wake up. Oh, what?" Jimmy said, startled. "You must have fallen asleep," said Bill. Oh, Jimmy felt a bit drowsy and disoriented. "What time is it?" 5:00. "How did you still want me to go with me down to the bowling alley? It's league night." One thing his dad did for himself was play in the bowling league down at Lucky Strikes. Bill had bowled there since his parents moved to Denver when he was 17 years old. The funny thing was that Bill played with some of the same men. He showed Jimmy pictures of the league back then, and they all looked the same now, except they had less hair and more belly, as his dad would say. "Okay, sure, Dad, I want to go. Let me get ready." Jimmy looked around the room, rubbing his eyes. He was looking for the roll of quarters that he was going to use for video games at the bowling alley. Mary, the receptionist at Dad's work, had given the roll to Jimmy for helping her file papers over the summer. Jimmy opened his side drawer and spotted the roll next to his baseball cards, and then he let out a chuckle. Jimmy had gotten those cards with Mason at a garage sale earlier in the summer. The cards were from 1975, and they were still wrapped with the gum inside. He remembered one day he and Mason were playing cards in his room. "Hey, I have to ask you something," Mason said. "What?" Jimmy asked. "Who do you like?" Though Jimmy knew that Mason already knew he liked Jennifer, the truth was that Jimmy had never actually said it out loud and didn't want to say it now. "I'm not telling you. Mason pulled out the baseball cards from 1975, opened the package, took out the gum, and handed it to Jimmy, saying, "Either tell me who you like or start chewing." No way," Jimmy argued. "That gum is from 1975, and it would probably kill me if I chewed it." "Get out of here," said Mason. "It's got so many preservatives that doesn't even have an expiration date on it." "No way, man. I'm not chewing that," Jimmy said, scooting away from Mason. Okay then, Mason said, looking slyly at Jimmy. Answer the question, then. Who do you like? Jimmy started huffing and puffing. He was dead either way because he knew Mason would torture him about Jennifer if he said that he liked her. So with a relenting look on his face, Jimmy shouted, "Fine, give me the gun." He held out his right hand palm up. "I can't believe you are going to make me do this gun," Jimmy said disgustedly at the ceiling, shaking his head. "Just do it, you big baby," taunted Mason. "Fine," Jimmy said, grinding his teeth. "Fine." And he took the gun and shoved it into his mouth. At first, Jimmy couldn't even chew the gum. It was so hard it was like chewing a piece of bark. But then, once the saliva mixed in with the gum, it began to break down in his mouth. But it just dissolved, never really turning into anything chewable. Meanwhile, Mason was laughing while sitting across from Jimmy on the floor, and he was yelling, "Chew, chew, chew," and pounding his fists on the floor. Jimmy just glared at him with a look that said, Just you wait, buddy. I'll get you back for this." Looking at the baseball cards now made Jimmy laugh. Funny how you can be so mad at one moment and then laughing at the memory of it later. But Jimmy had a lot of those kinds of memories with Mason, which explained why he missed him so much. He needed a new best friend at school. Of course, no one would ever be as good of friends as he and Mason. The big problem was that this year was gone and Jimmy only knew Jennifer. Mason was gone and Jimmy only knew Jennifer. He couldn't very well hang out with her at school. No guys actually hung around with girls at school. They just stared at them from across the quad looking like a bunch of dorks.